Hello and welcome, Internet experts. Everyone's an expert but me. I hope everyone had a good couple weeks. It's been a little while. Had a lot going on last weekend. Last week, where I had some personal things going on, and I was trying to really hard to get the Mustang Mach-E video out the door last week. So I'm trying to work on all that stuff and do all those little supercharger reviews, which, if you've been watching the channel, you know have been spilling out over the last few mornings. So I also caught a cold. My daughter brought a cold home from school, so good that that's a bit of normalcy coming back into our lives. And last Wednesday was about the worst of it. So we were tested. It wasn't COVID. It was just run-of-the-mill cold, and if I still sound like I have a frog in my throat, that's why. So we're back now. It's a new week. Lots been going on. I haven't been on since middle of Drive Electric week, so that week ended up big. We also had the Tesla shareholder meeting. GM did their shareholder kind of, I don't know if it was really a shareholder meeting or if it was just kind of a State of the Union where we're headed meeting. And Volkswagen had an emergency meeting. And then there was the Giga Berlin stuff. And FSD 10.2 has dropped out to some people. So big couple weeks. So a lot to get through, and I'll try to do it relatively efficiently. But hi, John, and hi, Todd. Welcome. Thanks for joining. I hope you guys are all doing well and recovered from your adventures from Drive Electric week as well. Todd, I hope you did make it down from Roseau and aren't still stuck in the North Woods. Yeah, it sounds like LG will pay for the Bolt battery replacement. There's so much on the list, I didn't even write that one down. But yeah, it sounds like they've come to an agreement. It'll be interesting where that all shakes out. I'd hate to be the insurance company having to write that down. But that's what you get when you have major recalls like this. So hopefully that's good for GM in the long run, and hopefully if they've got it sorted out now, they can keep working with LG. Hopefully LG will be more careful in the future and start cranking out their Ultium batteries, which I think they're working with them on that too. So some really interesting stuff. So yeah, that's a big one. I just saw somebody on Twitter saying that they missed their flight because their Bolt wasn't allowed to be in the parking ramp for the airport, so they had to go find other parking and then shuttle to the airport, and they missed their flight. And I'm surprised it's gotten to that level, but because it didn't seem, when there's a Tesla anything, it gets all the press in the world, and it didn't seem like the Bolt fires were getting that much press outside of the EV world, but apparently enough that that's fairly widespread. The banning of them in different ramps is widespread enough that it was at their airport. So pretty unfortunate. Hopefully they can get that squared away, and new batteries in those Bolts, now those should last a long time if they have a brand new battery, brand new warranty. It should be a pretty good deal for those Bolt owners, especially the newer ones who are going to get, the older ones because they'll get extra years of warranty, but the newer ones, because their interior and exterior is probably still going to be in good shape for a long time. And Roland's here. Hey. Welcome. And since you're here and I haven't got into a big topic, I got a package in the mail yesterday that I just want to share with folks that Roland is a friend of mine from North Dakota. His YouTube channel is Chemist American Lifestyle, where he does a lot of stuff with his Model S and Model 3. And so he made the hats with my logo on them for me, and just sent some cute little things for Joan. I assume they're for Joan. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then some new Brian Reeby Drives Electric hats. So thank you very much. I will contact you on the side and make sure I pay you for those. So thank you very much. I actually just gave 2 of the hats away. I had that you'd given me earlier. That I had a friend coming from. Well, it's a friend I went to high school with, and they now live in the Czech Republic in Prague. And they were in town. He owned a Tesla. Owns a Tesla Model 3. And was actually the first one to let me drive a Tesla. And so he was here this week and let him drive the Model Y. He hadn't driven a Y yet, so they had a cool experience about that. With that, and we're talking about maybe if they're back in town. Bill is his name, and his wife's name is Yulia. And we were talking about maybe doing a road trip in the spring together, and where Bill and I would be driving, he'd be driving his Model 3, I'd be driving the Model Y, and Yulia would be driving we'd get her like a big, diesel pickup that could roll coal and everything. And the whole drive would just be like us shaking our fists at her. And, so anyway, I don't know if that's going to come to fruition. But we had a good time talking about that. And anyway, they brought some wonderful gifts that were very nice from Czech Republic and their other travels. And I, didn't have anything for them, but I did have a couple hats, and they do watch the channel. So I thought, well, if you want these, I have a hard time saying, here, take something with my face on it. Luckily, it's a cartoon version, so they aren't going to scare children, although I guess that would be okay for Halloween. But I was able to give them a couple hats, and so that was very cool. So thank you for those, and now I've got a restocked supply, so fantastic. So anyway, thank you for this, and like I said, I'll definitely pay you for the hats. But we'll talk about that online. So, I could just give you my banking information on the live stream. I think that's something you're supposed to be able to do, right? I can't see a problem with that. Or if I just hold up my credit card for a while, so you have plenty of time to get the info off, I don't see a problem with that. Anyway, thank you very much. Very cool and very unexpected. But Joan's already been playing with the water bottle, and that's super cute. And yeah, thank you. John had a good time last Saturday, and a lot of people like the car, the Model Y Performance. Did you take it somewhere last Saturday, or are you talking about Duluth? Was that a Saturday? Or was that Sunday? I don't remember. Drive Electric Week was a couple weeks ago, and I've kind of not exactly lost track of all the things we did, but a little bit. I had to write it down, like which events we went to. But our final one was in Duluth. John came up for that one too, and I met some friends up there. Eventually, I'm going to have a video on the Drive Electric Week events. This week, coming on Sunday, should be my Mach-E video. And I want to ask your opinions about that in a little bit. But now the GT has come out, And so I had all my stats for the e-tron, or not e-tron, Mach-E. And now the GT has come out and probably seems to maybe address some of the concerns I had about, or not concerns, but little nitpicks I had about the Mach-E. And I'm debating, I'd love to get your opinions on this. Do I watch videos on the GT and add a tag at the end of my video that says, well, it sounds like there's a new model. Here's kind of the basics of that, but of course I haven't had a chance to drive it yet. Or just ignore that it exists and say there are other variants at the end. Because really the bulk of the video is going to be my experience with this particular vehicle. But I also, if somebody's coming to the channel wanting like a comprehensive what's out there for the Mach-E, I don't want to leave them hanging or not give all the information, so I'm trying to think of a good way to handle that. But my experience cut down is already almost an hour. Plus, I have about a 30-minute interview I did with Paul from Roseau County Ford, which was very good. He had a lot of cool perspective and great to talk with him. But it was over the phone, so there aren't a lot of great visuals. So I'm considering doing another interview with another person about the Mach-E, and then maybe I could tie those together and have some visuals there. But I want it to be comprehensive but not get too long. So we'll see by Sunday if I've come up with a good solution. Stay tuned and watch till the end to make sure you find out whether I succeeded or failed. And either way, leave a comment, because turns out any comment's a good comment as far as YouTube's concerned. So just if you hated it, just don't tell your friends. How about that? Anyway, at the church in Bloomington. Okay. Yeah, I was out of town last weekend, so talking with a couple of my friends about the Model Y and the Mach-E, since I had just driven it, and we did. I might have another video about that weekend. We'll see. I didn't shoot a whole lot of footage, but it doesn't need a whole lot. So we'll see. That might be something, but that would, I don't know, be 4 or 5 weeks away now, depending on how the schedule goes. Duluth was last weekend. Duluth was the Fall Colors Drive. That's right. And I hope that was awesome. I'm guessing the colors were pretty good, because they were pretty good where I was. I wasn't quite that far north, but I hope it was a fun time. John did put a couple videos on the Polestar on Facebook. It was good to see those. I don't think I saw the one where you were walking around it. I don't think I've seen the one of you driving it, so I'll have to go to Facebook and check that out later too. Just touch on the GT version. Yeah, I think that's the responsible thing to do, because some of the driving characteristics stuff I wasn't crazy about on the Mach-E, and just from the thumbnails and titles of people's videos, it sounds like they've solved that with the GT version. So yeah, I think that's probably the better way to handle it. Thanks for mentioning that, Todd. Search for John's thing on Facebook of the Polestar. And I did see his walking around with Kyle with the Harley-Davidson Livewire. That was pretty cool. He was doing some burnouts there, silent burnouts, which was fun. Kyle is actually the one who was leaving just as we were getting to the Electrify America station a few weeks ago. So cool to see him again. Oh, you didn't drive it? Okay. Sorry, that was my misunderstanding. But anyway, cool walk around with the Polestar. I haven't got a chance to yet, but hoping to drive it in the next couple weeks. I actually have like real client work that came in that I'm working through this week, so I'm a little strapped for time as far as test drives and shooting more, especially when I'm so far behind on the Mach-E video. But want to get that out there. I'm trying to cut it down as tight as I can, but give you the full impressions and some of the full experience of some of the things that were really great about it, and then one pretty significant hassle I had. But overall, it's a good car. So that's my quick spoiler is it's a pretty good car. Anyway, so wanted to get back to there are a lot of great events in the Drive Electric Week, and I will be sharing some of our footage. Some of Todd was gracious enough to shoot a couple clips on his way up to Bemidji and Roseau for his trip, and it sounds like he made it back home eventually, or maybe he just met everybody in Duluth since he was up there so long. But that was a good week. I think I was really surprised at how many events there were, and it sounds like at a lot of them people gave a lot of test drives, so I was hoping for that, but didn't think we'd necessarily get there yet this year, so that's encouraging. Butts and seats changes a lot of minds. When I was with some friends this weekend, they'd been in my Model S, but still, somebody was taking videos of the launch and some of the autopilot stuff. We had to turn the stereo up to 11 to test it out, as long as we could stand it. But it was it's loud. 11 is loud. I wouldn't really recommend anyone testing it, other than just to show people. And I think the speakers still held together, so that was good. Yeah, I can see how the Polestar 2 is not designed for big people. It seems to have a relatively tight entrance into the driver's seat, in and out, and it's kind of low. Kind of not quite as low as the 3 probably, but it'll be interesting to get a drive in that. So with all that, all those cool events going on, Tesla had their shareholder meeting, and it was frankly a little dull. They had it in Austin. You could see the factory behind them, and I kind of think that was good. It was a shareholder meeting. They answered a lot of business questions. Didn't seem to take any from analysts, I don't think, unless some of those later ones were from analysts, which was interesting. But they, just kind of had a meeting without many announcements. Obviously, the big announcement to come out of it was, the production and delivery numbers are still growing quickly, and they're finally getting people's plaids out, which is good for people like Jason, who waited forever, and he's now got his, so that's good. And then they announced they moved to Austin, the headquarters to Austin, which makes sense. That's where Elon's doing his SpaceX stuff in Texas. Austin isn't that far away, and just makes good business sense, and has probably been in the works for probably 2 years realistically. We might have not have known about that for 2 years, but obviously they were planning before we found out. And there was some backlash about with some of the recent political stuff in Texas. Then Tesla moves their headquarters there. It's completely irrelevant. It's anyone who's been following knows this wasn't a knee-jerk thing. Even the drama with the California senator or whoever that was, some of that I think was played up for show and for frustration. But there again, I think the decision had been made earlier, knowing how fast Starbase was expanding in Boca Chica, that it was almost inevitable, even by last year. So, good that they've made a decision, and hopefully it means less travel time for Elon, and he can be more efficient with what he's doing. And as far as the deliveries and production, it's it's a really good trajectory. That's just more and more all the time. But I think Q4 is going to be interesting. I think they're going to try to get a good number, but maybe not push as hard. And this is another thing Elon's kind of telegraphed, where he's been talking about he wants to calm that end of the quarter wave down a little bit. And this is kind of the perfect time to do that. Where by the end of the quarter, we'll probably know if there is a new EV incentive, and if there is, if it takes, if it's enacted at January 1st. If that's the case, a lot of people are going to be deferring their order until January 1st. And so Q1 is probably going to look really good if that happens. But it might mean that there's a slower take rate in Q4 this year. There might be enough demand that they can still sell every one they make. That'll be kind of interesting to see. Or maybe they'll ship more to Canada than they would have earlier. I'm not sure how they're gonna work it, but I think it would be good to kind of level things out a little bit, not make it so hard on the employees at the end of every single quarter. I've actually, when somebody in the Minnesota Tesla group posted that there were job openings at Tesla, I considered it, but I do have, responsibilities with my daughter, and I have a concern that, something would come up with her and we'd be at the end of the quarter push and I couldn't get away, or wouldn't, feel right walking away when everyone else is underwater. And, I'd rather not put, if I'm going to join a team and, try to, push this movement forward, I want to do it wholeheartedly and not have, not having to step away when people really need it. So, if they can even out those big demand pushes or those big delivery pushes, I think that would help probably with their recruiting too. So anyway, that's my take on it. But be great if they can even out the wave and just have steady sales at a good growth rate. And then, we'll see if there is a new EV tax rebate or a point of sale rebate, ideally point of sale. But we'll see. There's a lot of sausage needs to be made in the next few weeks for them to get something done, and I just hope they do, because there's a lot of stuff that needs work and a lot of infrastructure needs to be built and get the go ahead for people to start moving things forward. That when I start veering into politics, that's when my throat dries out. I was trying to keep that very neutral. I may have failed, but anyway, hopefully something gets done. And so they did their meeting, and then GM did a similar meeting. Like I said, I didn't watch it. I watched some recaps of it. And watched some recaps of the GM thing. And I'm having a hard time trying to figure out where GM and Ford really are with EVs. I know they've both kind of announced targets for 2030. When talking to Paul, I really got the impression that when Ford saw the Mach-E numbers and then saw the demand for the Lightning, the F-150, excuse me, when they saw the demand for the F-150 Lightning, they really stood up and took notice, and I can't remember Paul's quote, but it was something to the effect of, they have plans in place now, internal targets and plans, that didn't exist 3 months ago or 6 months ago. And so it seems like behind the scenes, they are prepping for a big shift. And I know they just had that announcement of, I think, 11 billion. Does that sound right? 11 billion to do a couple plants and a battery facility in the southern U.S. So it sounds like they are kind of surprised and excited that there's actually a market for EVs, and if they do it, people will buy them. But it seems like GM is still unsure or not knowing which way to go, or we're in this thing, but we've got really kind of half-hearted plans. So I don't know. I'm trying to... You watch something like that where they're talking about the future, and they seem to say all the right things, and then they're talking about, an all-electric future where 50% of their sales are gas cars still in 2030. And when you step back, it just doesn't really jive. So maybe they're just, maybe Ford is doing this too. Just saying that to, not make people freak out, that they're going to have to change and it's going to be here faster than they think. But I feel like they're just kind of behind and not taking it seriously until it's almost passed them by. So it'll be interesting. They also kind of canceled Supercruise, which was going to be, the hands-free thing for the Cadillac that they're still advertising. I still see ads for it all the time on YouTube. And so they've kind of canceled that, but they're going to have Supercruise, And then they're going to have Ultra Cruise, which is going to be even better. And, just kind of some vague statements about how they're going to do that. I some of it seems like they're saying it because they feel like they have to, but they have no idea how or if they're going to do it. And maybe I need to go back and watch the full presentation. But just from the recaps I've seen from relatively unbiased journalists, it doesn't seem like there was anything too revolutionary there other than, hey, we're kind of moving in this direction. Before we get into FSD stuff, I just wanted to say, hey, William Shatner went into space this morning, and that was kind of fun. I'm not a huge Star Trek guy. I have enjoyed it over the years. I probably haven't even seen all of the original series. Definitely haven't seen all of the other series of it, but and some of the newer ones are a little cheesy and not to my taste. Not that the old one wasn't cheesy, but everything in the 60s was cheesy. But anyway, it was cool. Cool to see him go to space. What I found really interesting was after he got out of the capsule, and he's just trying to come up with words to describe what he just experienced. And unfortunately, like, the first time he's trying to express it, Jeff, like, completely turns away from him. Jeff Bezos turns away from him and goes and gets champagne so he can spray everybody with champagne. And it's like, dude, this guy was about to, like, get very profound here. And you're worried about the champagne shower. That's just my take on it. But then, Jeff did start paying a little closer attention to him. And the audio isn't great, but hearing him describe with the emotion in his voice what that experience was like is fantastic, and part of the Dear Moon Project inspiration for as well is getting regular people with different backgrounds up into space. And the way he described it is from more of a not more human, but a more artistic, creative perspective on what he experienced. And so as more people like that have those experiences, I think it's going to open up other people's minds in different ways to, what space is, kind of what space is about, but also like the value of the Earth in maybe ways that, engineers and test pilots maybe haven't been able to express as well. So I was going to, somebody made a transcript of it. I think Mary Liz from Cosmic Perspective made a transcript of it. I would encourage you to go look at the Blue Origin feed and find the part where they're getting out of the castle and they stormed the castle, getting out of the capsule, and listen to it and watch him try to put words to it. I just found it really profound and moving. So, wanted to bring that up. Not really Tesla or EV related, but Elon, space, inspiration for Dear Moon. It's all going to have these kind of cascading effects. And, I think if we can picture how valuable the Earth is and our atmosphere and how small it is, that's only good for everyone. Excuse me. Hopefully that won't continue and we can keep going here. I'm going to just check up into the comments here. I had my sappy moment. Now, time to answer some comments here. Let's see. Some guy walks up to me that had a little bitty BMW electric car and told me my car is a waste of money. Teslas are a bunch of hype, but you kept your cool and even though you wanted to punch the SOB. Yeah, there's a weird anti-Tesla thing with some non-Tesla owners. I know Tesla owners get a lot of crap about not supporting all EVs, but I've definitely noticed, and we've talked about this before, that if you bought a Tesla, you didn't buy a real EV, because it was too easy, or the batteries. It sounds like he was saying the battery's too big. It's unnecessary. Well, that may be the case. It might not be necessary, and maybe the battery's bigger than most people need, but it got a lot of people. Tesla's managed to get a lot of people into EVs and make it a pretty coveted brand. So it's moving the mission forward, even if it's not for everybody. Yeah, it's not cool to go and dump on someone about their car when they've taken the time to bring it to a car show. Yeah, the Watertown, South Dakota is I don't think I'm actually going to do a supercharger review there. There's one online, someone else did, and they know the area better. And I don't think I could do it without a little bit of spite in my voice. Although my last experience there was pretty good. So, yeah. It can be a frustrating spot, though. Thanks. I just got the haircut today. I said short and she listened. You don't work on something like that. Ford's building a special plant just for the lighting. Yeah. I heard GM's coming out with an electric Eldorado? Really? Did you mean Silverado? They're definitely doing a Silverado. But it doesn't sound like they're even going to announce it till January. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think they're like you're saying, Todd, that their clientele isn't ready to be told, you're going to buy your last gas car in 3 years. That's pretty scary to some people. Yes, he yelled, "Khan!" Actually, it may have. I didn't watch the entire to the end of the stream, so it may have been in there. Time for the 99s and the 98s. yeah, that's yeah, you just gotta keep plugging away, and there's only so much convincing you can do. I think even when you're in a spot that's a little hostile to EVs, um, just showing up shows that someone has one and showed up there. And then the next time, if they see two, and the next time they see three, or they see another one on the road, it's not going to be such a foreign thing. Either that's foreign scary, I don't want to go that way, or foreign, you know, I don't like that. Um, it takes some of that knee jerk reaction away. So I think it's good to put up with the frustration if you can. Don't get into fights. It's not worth it. Um, so then the next big event, and I know I jumped to the Shatner thing, and this is going back, but the next big event was the Berlin thing, and that's where I think, like, all the stuff they didn't say at the shareholder meeting is where they really were making quiet, profound statements with the Gigafactory tour in Berlin or Brandenburg. I think they're calling it Giga Berlin. I can't remember, but regardless, the Galley had a pretty good video on it. I was hoping to see more out of that, but you could see some of the graphics they had and kind of read what their graphics had in the text. And some of that stuff was pretty interesting. They're going to do front and rear casting, and then they showed the structural battery pack with the 4680 cells in it. And if you haven't seen those pictures, look them up because they're very cool. It sounds like the 4680s aren't quite ready yet, but that's, they were showing this is what it's going to be when we get those. And it's just, cutting out so many parts and so many processes by doing the casting. Attention was paid to the stamping, excuse me, the stamping machines, because that's something you can see. It goes from a sheet of metal to, a door panel. And that's cool and very impressive, but everybody does it. Seeing the stamping machines at the Tesla plant is no cooler than seeing the stamping machines in a GM plant or a Ford plant or a Volkswagen plant. I'm sure each one of them has their own little special sauce to it, but stamping sheet metal is stamping sheet metal. It's cool and very visual. Where casting, somebody had a little was showing a little bit of the graphic of how the liquid aluminum flows into the mold, and that's very cool and visual. But when you're looking at the casting machine, you're just looking at this big hulking machine, making all sorts of pressure noises. So that's really where their secret sauce is. But that was really cool to see. It sounds like their paint shop and a lot of the other processes and things they've got going on there are going to be very cool. And they threw a big party for the locals. It sounds like if you were local, you could get a ticket. If you weren't, it was a lot harder. So that was good. I like the fact that local people got to check out a local factory. That's just good for morale in the community. What's been going on out here. People are probably skeptical. It's an American company in Germany. What are they doing, and what are their motives? Are they going to take all the jobs away from my cousin who works at VW or whatever. So I think that was good to do a little community building, and hopefully it's an annual thing or a recurring thing. I'm just going to sit here and die, so don't worry about that. Sorry. Anyway, so Giga Berlin looks like it still has a lot of work to go or to do before they're finished. But like Elon said, hopefully Berlin and Austin are making cars by the end of the year, even if it's just a handful. Get that ball rolling and that flywheel spinning up through 2022. Will be pretty exciting. And there's Giga Beer now, so that's fun. I don't know if that's a thing they made for the event. I thought someone had said, and maybe this was in Galley's walkthrough, that they might actually put a brewery in the factory, to do a small batch Giga Beer. That would be really interesting. Again, that probably has way more cultural significance over there, but it's cool, it's fun. If you can do it, still do the rest of the factory and not have people drinking Giga Beer while they're working, then it's all good. Yeah, that was all my thoughts on Berlin, pretty much. Then I wanted to see how everybody's doing on their safety score and what their thoughts on beta rollout, version 10. I have to say that I think I'm still at 97, so it'll be a while for me. Let me check. Maybe I went to 100 and I just didn't realize it. Yep, I'm a 97 for some unsafe following. Let's see how I did today. I've had mostly 100s recently, so if I can keep that up, that's going to keep edging it up. I was at 96 at my lowest, so I'm creeping up. But although I didn't get it and haven't been able to test it out, that's probably good because I haven't really had time to watch videos, or wouldn't have had time to make videos about it. But Dan Berkland on YouTube and in the Minnesota Tesla Owners Group did get it and posted a short video, must have been Monday morning, of his drive in North Minneapolis. And it was so cool to see it on familiar streets. And it was working. He had to disengage a couple times, but that's just really cool to see it like in an area So hopefully we get a lot more of that. Hopefully it's rolling out to a lot of other people, and it sounds like there'll probably be a week or so wait, and then 10.3 is going to come out, and then they're going to expand it further. I don't know if I'll be at 100 by then, but we'll see. I'm pretty excited about it, and glad to see it's actually starting to roll through. Just wait a second here. I'll be right back. Excuse me. And so I'm glad it's out there. I know people are frustrated they don't have it yet. And, some people are frustrated that they've got it, but it's not very good in their area yet. It's going to be a learning process. And hopefully, like before, we just start seeing good iteration of development. And I think that'll be a pretty positive sign if it just keeps getting less and less imperfect at a good pace. That's, I think, what we need to be looking for. So, let's see. John says, after I posted my videos on Facebook, somebody posted, if we go electric, we're going to overload the grid. That's the interesting thing about Drive Electric Week was how many people were lecturing people from the power company that the power company couldn't do it. It was bizarre. I overheard someone, and then I more closely overheard two other people talking to electric company employees about how the grid won't be able to handle it. And they're saying, no, we've got plans. That's kind of what this whole event is about. It's going to be fine. Don't worry. This isn't going to happen overnight. And, people are like, no, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. It's like, well, they deal with the electricity demand. They probably know better than, someone. Even if that person used to be an electrician when they, before they retired. Utility companies have been planning for this at least for the last couple of years, some of them for much longer. And it's been on their radar. They've got plans. So it's going to be fine. It is really frustrating when you hear that kind of stuff, though, and people just won't accept that things will be okay. It's actually really bizarre. Yeah, if they do, it sounds like they're going to do a Texas party when Giga Austin opens up. And yes, we definitely should do a big road trip for that. I can't remember who on Twitter. It was the Austin Owners Club. Had tweeted at Elon about, we need to do this with all the owners groups and all the Texas barbecue and like all this stuff when Giga Austin opens. And I think Elon's response was, hell yeah. So that's great. I think if they open it up, it would have to be a ticketed thing. Because just think of all the Tesla owners who would be ready to road trip there immediately. I don't know. I wonder if they probably should do a locals first event and then maybe do another one later. Or I wonder if, I know they have the I'm trying to think of what it's called, but it's like Social at Tesla or Tesla. I can't remember what it is, but it's something like where owners clubs can post stuff like kind of through Tesla. It would be cool if they had like a rotating like once a month or every 6 months after it opens. Like, all right, you three owners club, so you're invited if you want to come down. Or, something like that where it wouldn't be just mass chaos, but, people who want to go down with their groups could still do it. It would be pretty cool. I was talking to my friend who's, we were joking about that road trip in the spring, and we were talking about, well, we'd have to hit Starbase, we'd have to hit Austin, and, those would kind of be the destinations. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do an event there or how they do an event there. I think it's pretty certain they will. Yeah, traditional week-long fair. Yeah, it would be. Boy, just think of the chaos at the superchargers. Down 35. If what is the event that was there last year? Robert Llewellyn's. I cannot for the life of me think of what it was called. But their electric vehicle showcase that they had there in 2020. If that bogged up the superchargers on the way down to Austin, this would be just bonkers. So, yeah, I think they're going to have to stagger it for outstate folks. Probably. But definitely worth doing it. And if they have their, kind of their river tour, Elon keeps talking about an ecological paradise with kind of a river walk and everything around the Colorado River. Sounds like a pretty good time to me. Maybe they'd have Giga Beer there too. Might not be as strong and as dark as the German Giga Beer. I don't know. Giga Light for Americans. So anyway, I don't know if you guys have seen any of the 10.2 rollout videos. It seems like it's a good iteration. Like I said, that's what I'm going to keep looking. Fully charged. Thank you, Todd. My brain just shut off there for 5 minutes. I could think of every other YouTube channel and like event or electric vehicle company or organization and not fully charged. But anyway, the 10.2 iteration seems like a pretty strong iteration on 10.0 and 10.1. And for me, that's what I want to keep seeing. I want to keep seeing progress of, it getting better, even though it's not perfect. It's still going to get things wrong, but get a little more perfect, a little more perfect, a little more perfect. And if they can be doing that every couple weeks, then that's really, that speed is going to, we're going to look back at when people started getting it. Well, kind of like the beta testers now who have had it for a year. I think Earl of Funkpuppy, 28 to Earl of Funkpuppy, or on Twitter, that's his name, and his handle is at 28 delays later. He was talking about, how I think he actually did a drive with his 9-year-old daughter and put this on his YouTube channel and on Twitter. they were just talking about how much it's gotten better since he first got it about a year ago. So if it's this good already, in another year, it's going to be pretty good. Assuming the continuation of every few weeks, we get a better iteration of it. So it's going to be a wait and see thing, but I'm excited to try to get in there and help train it, especially over the winter. That's going to be probably some pretty challenging, but hopefully rewarding long-term training that we'll be able to give it. So I'm excited for that. Tony is headed to Oregon, and he is going to test drive an Arkamoto. Fantastic. That is Joan's favorite vehicle. At fully charged, they had one parked, and once I let Joan sit in the back seat of that thing, it was very difficult to pass by it without stopping for her to get in it again. It almost got to the point of embarrassing, but it was pretty cute. She had a blast in that thing. It's on my short list for when the Prius dies. If the version with doors and a decent heater is out. So I would love to hear your thoughts on the Arkamoto after you have a chance to drive it. But I haven't driven that way in the Tesla. Years and years ago, I did a road trip out there in I'm trying to think of what car that would have been. May have been an old Civic or my brother's RX-8. I can't remember which trip was which car. The driving situation was very different on both of those. But anyway, cool. And you should have good charging all the whole way. If you're going next week, you shouldn't have to worry about snow or anything. Sounds like EV Dave is going to take a trip. He's going to Wyoming and might be coming through southern Minnesota and might go across North Dakota if the weather holds up for him. So be cool if he swings through. And yeah, I think that's sometime in November. But cool. Always good to get good high profile people cruising through the state and showing that there's charging here. I'm trying to think. I think that was all of my big topics for the week. Oh, you're flying there. Well, then you won't have a problem charging. It is a long drive, which is great if you've got the time for it. But even gas or electric, it'll take a while. Yeah, Tim, I am right there with you. I'm hoping I have it in the next few weeks so I can get used to it, and then when we get snow, those first couple snowfalls, just take it out and see what happens safely. But yeah, I hope that's in December. It's nice to have a white Christmas, but we can get the snow like a week before that, and that'd be fine. So, yeah, it'll be really interesting. Especially ice. If it knows what to do. that's going to be the scary part, is knowing when to let it try and figure it out and when to take it over so you can take over in time. That might be something where it's, well, that wouldn't work. I was thinking you take it out into parking lots and just, give it a bunch of runs, but that's not going to have any real lane markings or anything, unless it's something with a lot of curbs. But you wouldn't be able to fool it to think it's on the road. So I don't know. It's going to be, the ice is going to be the sketchiest part. But that's what we're here for, intrepid trainers. And hopefully inexperienced drivers don't try to rely on it too much without knowing when things are getting out of hand. I don't know. That's going to be, a training, a real training in exercise. But anyway, that's a rabbit hole. We won't know what it's like until we know what it's like. And you have to figure they're training it, someone, well, it's been out since last year. So some people drove in the ice with it. You would assume some employees talking to someone from Tesla. I know there were Tesla employees that have been testing beta for a while, presumably in Minnesota. Presumably that was over the winter as well. So hopefully some data from last year is still in the mix. And yeah, we're going to have to be smart and be safe and see what it does. The only other thing I really wanted to talk about was just a weird thing that keeps kind of coming up on Twitter that I was going to just mention, and that is that it actually just came up right before I came on earlier today, where someone made a post about what industry should Elon disrupt next. And I was actually thinking about this a lot, because it seems like anytime he posts, somebody's asking about, where's the leaf blower? Where is the VTOL jet? Where is the heating and home heating and cooling? Where's the Tesla boat? Where's the Tesla jet ski? Where's the just all this stuff that they want Tesla to do, because it's a great thing. They think Tesla makes good, great products that are fun and safe, and that's good. But the question keeps coming up to Elon, like, hey, when are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? And he said several times on a lot of this stuff, like, my plate's full. If I'd love to do this or that, but if we try to take one more thing on, my head's going to explode. So you've got people, asking for new stuff all the time, and then other people going, hey, where's the Roadster? Where's the Semi, which is the stuff that he should be working on? And so when this came up today, this is my response, and it's probably, I had to fit it into a tweet, so I got it more succinct than I would have said it on here, but my thoughts are basically that I wish others would adopt his attitude and disrupt things for themselves. It seems like everybody wants Elon to solve their next problem. He gets daily requests for a boat, leaf blower, home, HVAC, VTOL jet, and more. And some of it's in jest, and some of it's he's interested in, but doesn't have the time. But I would love to see someone else step up if they really want this thing. Some of that stuff wouldn't be, for a person with the right resources and interests, wouldn't be that difficult to do. Excuse me a minute. But I see people in different businesses, or other people with money saying, "Hey, Elon, you should do this." And I just wonder, well, why don't you do that? Or put together the team who can do that. Part of what Elon did is, found problems that he wanted to solve, and either educated himself or found the right team members and, led the team who could do these things. And it seems a little weird to me that people who are so into Tesla, so into, future stuff, some of whom have companies and resources and things, can't internalize that they can do some of that themselves. They can adopt, kind of his philosophies and principles of how to work on things and just do it. It's a little weird. I don't know a good answer for it, but I just think it has to be exhausting to be Elon and you make a funny meme or do a funny joke or just say, congratulations to William Shatner this morning or whatever. The whole feed underneath it is, where is, my safety source sucks. My, why don't I have beta? Where's this? Where's the VTOL jet? Where's the leaf blower? We're getting into fall. I need that leaf blower. And like I said, some of it's just for fun. People are having a good time. But something, I wish I could remember who this person was. Someone was talking about dealing with celebrities. And I wish I could think of who this was. But when I did events, occasionally we would have somebody who was fairly well known. And I always had this in the back of my mind. And this person was talking about how when you're a celebrity, everyone wants something from you. And even if they don't, it feels like they do. And be the person in their orbit that doesn't need anything. And so, when we'd have well-known people in, different events or something, I always tried really hard to be very professional, bother them as little as possible and not ask for autographs or selfies or anything. But just be there and help them get through their day, because that's what my job was, depending on what my role was or anything. And I think about that a lot with, he's just inundated with so many requests all the time that it's just got to be exhausting. So I don't know that that's going to change or anything, but I don't know. I wish people would take the bull by the horns and use his example and go out into the world and do things. So that's my soapbox portion for everyone's an expert. He needs to fund a longevity research like what David Sinclair is doing. Yeah, I think actually isn't Jeff Bezos doing something like that too, where he's funding a like anti-aging clinic or something like that. Yeah, well, yeah, there's the bot too, like Tony is saying. Yeah, Tony is saying, like the bot. I know some of this is because Elon puts this stuff out there, and he just makes life harder for himself. Um, but anyway, there is that. But he's trying to do a lot of stuff, so I think someone else can handle a leaf blower. Make a good, quiet electric leaf blower. Or how about a rake that doesn't make as much noise? Um, anyway, before I get on that rant, I'm going to sign off. So thank you for joining. Sorry, I'm still getting over this cold. Hopefully next week will be a little bit better. Look for that Mach-E stuff to start rolling out. Yeah, HVAC improvements might do the most for CO2 long term. That's a good point. Yeah, it probably would. Um, like I said, the Mach-E stuff is gonna start dropping on Sunday. I don't know if it'll all be in one lump or if I'm gonna have to break it up because, like I said, just the reviewing the car part of me is about an hour long of stuff I don't really want to gloss over. I do everything from like measure the trunk space with a tape measure to show you my charging experience and a lot of fun stuff there. So I check out Blue Cruise a little bit and give the audio the fake engine noise a try. So there's some fun stuff in there. Hopefully you'll enjoy that. That's coming out next, and then like I said, that interview with Paul might be in that, and or maybe I'll break it out into another interview piece for the following week. But the video ideas are stacking up kind of backwards, and I guess I'll have a lot for winter at the rate I'm going. I do want to get down to St. Peter, Minnesota, right near my hometown, and see the progress on that supercharger they're building there. Big surprise that came up last week that St. Peter's getting a supercharger. And construction is already well underway, so hopefully that's online and we'll have another supercharger review. Maybe another little road trip to go down and check it out. But with that, I'm going to let my voice rest for next week. Have a great night. Thank you very much, Roland. Thanks so much for the hats and stuff, and really appreciate that. You guys all have a great night, and I will catch you in the next one. That is the beginning, show the end part. There we go. I don't know. One of these days I'm going to figure out how to run this live stream stuff. But have a great night. Thank you very much.